As Candace Parker said so perfectly, let's keep it about basketball. That's the only path forward. If you stand with Caitlin Clark and believe it's time for the WNBA to embrace her impact, hit that like button and subscribe for more. And tell us in the comments, did Candace Parker just deliver the truth bomb the league needed to hear? We'll be watching. Other players have struck Clark in the face, shoved her after plays, and even celebrated it. Hurting Clark has, disturbingly, become a sport of its own. But through it all, Caitlin Clark never retaliates. She never elbows back. She never lashes out. She simply plays her game and continues breaking records. That's what makes this latest incident so damning. Griner's outburst wasn't heat-of-the-moment trash talk. It was deliberate, hateful, and captured clearly on camera. The WNBA now stands at a crossroads. Brittney Griner's words have ignited a firestorm of controversy. Caitlin Clark's fans are furious, neutral viewers are stunned, and the league's silence is making it all worse. The fact is simple. Caitlin Clark has done nothing but elevate women's basketball. She's broken viewership records. She's brought millions of new fans to the sport. She's the Rookie of the Year, a finalist in MVP voting, the face of the WNBA.
And think about it, Brittney Griner talking all that trash. We traded the merchant of death for your ass, and you're out there talking shit and saying racist shit on the freaking sideline, and it's disgusting. Okay, that's why nobody watches it, and it'll
they're
lose
watching
money.
it.
Yet, despite all this, Griner remains protected by the league. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, the rookie single-handedly saving the WNBA's viewership, continues to be bullied, targeted, and now racially insulted without protection. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below to let the world know you see exactly what's happening. Because the only way this double standard ends is if the fans demand it. And we'll be right here, keeping the spotlight on every step of this story.
And I think Caitlin Clark has done that even in her first year in terms of, being able to be that floor general. Her and Aaliyah Boston's connection has really improved. And I think the thing about Caitlin, yes, she can shoot from the logo, but she makes her team better.
And so now that I'm really starting to look into this, I'm like, God, not only is this real, but you've got media members that actually do try to hold the WNBA to some kind of responsibility. They're talking about there's no room for hate, this and that and the other one, and you got a player that's blatantly advocating for violence against far and away your most popular player.
No action was taken. If Brittney Griner can call Caitlin Clark a trash white girl on live TV with zero consequences, while Clark remains the model of professionalism, then the WNBA has a serious credibility problem on its hands. And fans are already voting with their wallets and their voices. The league must choose, enforce its own standards, or risk losing the trust of the very audience it claims to serve. So if you stand with Caitlin Clark, if you believe in fairness, integrity, and real accountability in women's sports, don't stay silent. If a white player had said effing black girl on national TV, Skip warned, it would have been a career-ending move.
The league would very much not be okay with a white player saying fucking black girl on the bench in anger and getting caught by TV cameras. That would be an immediate suspension, if not a career ender for said white girl.
But here's where things took an even darker turn. The WNBA did nothing. No suspension, no fine, no official comment. Silence. Fans took this as yet another sign that something wasn't adding up. Add to that Griner's deep voice, bone structure, and on-court physical dominance, and fans began openly questioning whether Griner has been competing with an unfair advantage. An anonymous viral post even alleged that Griner was never transgender, but a biological male, raised female on paper, due to a decision by her mother.
Like, look, she's not a girl, and she literally grabbed my chest and patted me like that. I was like, look, no titties. And I was so embarrassed.
Candace Parker just said what every Caitlin Clark fan has been screaming all season, and it left Caitlin's haters completely silenced on national TV. But what exactly did Candace say on ESPN, and why has this one interview sparked outrage, exposed deep jealousy in the WNBA, and forced the league to confront its biggest controversy yet? Stay tuned, because this was the truth bomb no one saw coming.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Clark, guard for the Indiana Fever.
Gets bumped, will take, and hit from 3.
Stay tuned, because once you see the full story, you'll understand why fans are saying this is the WNBA's biggest scandal yet. Brittney Griner's shocking words were caught on live TV. During a heated game, Griner fouled out. And as she walked off the court, cameras clearly captured her mouthing the words, "trash effing white girl," toward Caitlin Clark. The footage went viral almost instantly. Lip readers confirmed what fans suspected, and major commentators like Skip Bayless wasted no time in calling out what they saw.
I'm not going to act like it's something that we don't see. She's had a huge effect, called the Caitlin Clark effect. Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games? I think we have to understand that when one player eats, we all eat. And as we all get more opportunities, it just opens it up for everyone else. And I think Caitlin has said that even herself in certain interviews. And I love that.
Extreme? Maybe. Disturbing? Definitely. But the real scandal is this: the WNBA refuses to address any of it. In a league where fairness and transparency are supposed to matter, fans are now questioning everything. Especially when Caitlin Clark, a biologically female athlete, is the one taking the hits. And if that wasn't enough to ignite outrage, many still remember Griner's past controversies. She was arrested in Russia for carrying cannabis, then freed in a controversial prisoner swap that traded a notorious arms dealer, the Merchant of Death, for her release. But she wasn't done. Candace also called out the toxic race-driven narratives polluting the conversation around Clark. Let's keep it about basketball. That's the key. And when we do that, we can really grow the game. A direct challenge to those pushing culture wars over on-court excellence.
You know, I think that rivalry is super important. I think conversation is super important. You know, I tuned in when Kevin Durant went back and played Russell Westbrook, and they bumped shoulders and everybody was tuned in. But I want to keep it within the lines of the game. And I think that's what's the most important.
Caitlin Clark has been targeted from day one. She's been elbowed, shoved, and mocked. Not for dirty play, but simply for being great and being white. We've all seen the clips. Hard elbows on screens. Opponents ramming into her on inbound passes. She's been relentlessly bullied on the court, all while keeping her composure and continuing to set rookie records. And the targeting hasn't stopped at physical play. Remember Angel Reese. After a previous clash with Clark, Reese reposted an image online mocking Clark as a white girl running from the fade, a clear reference to violence.
You know, it's so crazy to me because I'm asked so many times if I'm resentful in any type of way for where the WNBA is right now. My job was to leave the game better than I came into it. You think Cheryl Miller is resentful for me that I had a league to play in? No, she's being the mentor that she is, and she's supporting and loving and sitting courtside cheering on Juju Watkins. And I'm doing the same for Caitlin Clark and all the women in the WNBA.
With those words, Parker shattered the jealousy narrative. No excuses, no spin. Just the truth that lifting up the next generation is how great leagues are built. Commentators scrambled to excuse Griner's words. Some even claimed she said "whack call" instead.
Now, I think it was my old friend Jamel Hill, used to work with her at ESPN. I believe Jamel said Griner actually said fucking whack call, and that could be the case. I'm not a lip reader. But it sure looks to me like the last word is girl, not call.
But the footage doesn't lie. Lip readers, fans, and even sports media personalities confirmed what they saw. Trash effing white girl. And here's where things get even more explosive. This.
But regardless of why Brittney Griner said what she said, or at whom she said it, I want to know, is the WNBA okay with one of its players saying fucking white girl on the bench and getting caught by TV cameras saying such? I guess they are. I guess they're okay with it. Obviously,
despite the league's very public No Space for Hate campaign launched earlier this year, Fans were outraged. The double standard was blatant. If Clark had been the one to use that kind of racially charged language, the consequences would have been swift and severe.
This is so funny how all this stuff works out, right? She says, this is from Brittney. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called the freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game. It's very disruptive. It continues. Brittney Griner voiced frustration in a recent interview, claiming that Caitlin Clark is ruining what used to make the WNBA great.
Yet the WNBA, which rushed to investigate fans after unverified claims of racism toward Angel Reese, is now turning a blind eye when racism comes from a player. Fans see it, the media sees it, and the silence from WNBA leadership is deafening. Neutral fans who tuned in to watch Clark are now watching her get abused, with no consequences for the players involved. And the hypocrisy couldn't be clearer. If a white player said effing black girl, Skip Bayless warned again, it would be a career ender. So why is it okay to racially target Caitlin Clark, but a complete scandal if the reverse happened? That's the question burning through every fan forum and media outlet right now. And until the WNBA addresses this blatant double standard, its credibility will continue to crumble, no matter how many "no space for hate" slogans they slap on the court. Caitlin Clark's rise in the WNBA should be a moment of celebration. Instead, it's exposed a deep, uncomfortable truth about the league, a wave of jealousy, bitterness, and targeted hate that has overshadowed her incredible impact. And it's not just whispers behind the scenes anymore. From players and media figures to leadership at the very top of the WNBA, a toxic resistance has taken hold. But why? The numbers tell the story. Caitlin Clark is single-handedly driving the league's biggest growth in history. Record-breaking ratings, sold-out arenas, merch flying off shelves, a projected $1 billion in revenue this year alone. Yet the players targeting her, physically, verbally, racially, are being protected by the very league she's helping to save. And let's be clear, this isn't just about trash talk anymore. It's about fairness. It's about integrity. And it's about whether women's sports will continue to be a space where biological women compete on a level playing field. Because if the WNBA won't protect its biggest star from this kind of abuse, what message does that send to every young girl watching? What message does it send to every female athlete who dreams of playing at the highest level? Here's the truth. Fans aren't going to stay silent anymore. The footage is out. The words are clear. The hypocrisy is obvious. And the league's attempt to sweep it under the rug is only adding fuel to the fire. In one calm, logical interview, Parker left the haters exposed. The whispers of resentment silenced. The racial narratives rejected. The excuses shattered. And in doing so, she sent a clear message to the WNBA. Either embrace this moment and Caitlin Clark's impact, or risk destroying it. Now the league faces a choice: continue allowing bitterness to dominate the conversation, or follow the example of legends like Parker and Leslie and rally behind the players who are growing the game. Because this isn't just about Caitlin Clark anymore, it's about the WNBA's future. A future that depends on welcoming new fans, celebrating stars, and keeping the focus where it belongs: on basketball. Instead of celebrating Clark's historic debut, the headlines were hijacked. Suddenly, the story wasn't about basketball. It was about controversy. And from there, it only got worse. As Clark continued to dominate on the court, online hate campaigns escalated. Disgusting conspiracy theories spread, including one accusing Clark of using her assistant coach's baby as a prop. Meanwhile, actual threats were made against Clark and her teammates, messages with bullseyes drawn on players' faces, and warnings of violence. And, through it all, silence. Not a word from the WNBA. No statement, no condemnation, no support. For a league that constantly touts its values of inclusion and safety, the hypocrisy was staggering. Yet, instead of embracing this success, the league seems determined to deny it. And worse, they've allowed a dangerous narrative to spiral out of control. The signs were there from day one. after Clark's sensational season opener against the Chicago Sky, a game that pulled in a staggering 2.7 million viewers, the most watched WNBA regular season game in 25 years.
First in the league in fast break points. Clark connects. Dishing. Smith hitting from three. Boston comes up with a rejection.
What was the league's response? An investigation, not into the game, not into officiating, but into the fans, over alleged hate speech that, as the video points out, was based on nothing more than online rumors. Brittney Griner was caught on camera calling Caitlin Clark a trash white girl, and now the entire WNBA is in chaos. But this isn't just about one player losing their temper. What Griner said, and what the league is doing about it, is exposing a double standard that could tear women's basketball apart. Fans are demanding answers, media outlets are exploding, and the league's silence is making things even worse. So what really happened on that court? Why has this one moment blown up an already heated feud between Caitlin Clark and some of the WNBA's biggest stars? And most importantly, why does it feel like no one is protecting the league's biggest rising star? Stay tuned, because once you see the full story, you'll understand why fans are saying this is the WNBA's biggest scandal yet.
But my thing is, had Angel or anyone else done the exact same type of a foul to Caitlin, the storyline's different.
Candace Parker's ESPN truth bomb wasn't just a defense of Caitlin Clark, it was a line in the sand. Top WNBA legend with the credibility to speak without fear, calling out the league's toxic undercurrent, jealousy, race baiting, and media spin for what it really is: a distraction, a threat to the very growth everyone claims to want. In one calm, logical interview, Parker left the haters exposed, the whispers of resentment silenced, the racial narratives rejected, the excuses shattered. And in doing so, she sent a clear message to the WNBA: either embrace this moment and Caitlin Clark's impact, or risk destroying it.
I love that she's not the player who's like, it's all about her. It's not. She's giving love and homage to those of us that have come before her. She shares the wealth with her teammates, and she doesn't have to do that. So I just don't, again, I don't know what the big deal is about the fact that Caitlin is getting a lot of love. She deserves that, and she's helped change this game just as a lot of other players have. But it is what it is.
Simple, logical, unarguable. And then came Stephen A. Smith, one of the few mainstream voices willing to say what so many in the WNBA won't. Addressing players upset about Clark's TV exposure, he drew the perfect comparison. Michael Jordan wasn't yet winning championships, but his popularity was so astronomical that the NBA marketed everything around him. Why is that an issue when we've seen this work before?